Hello everyone. Today I'll be sharing with you how to reflect brand tone in store design. This is a crucial question many sellers encounter when starting to build a brand and establish a long-term business. You might also feel this way. The page isn't bad looking and all the functions are complete, but it looks like a generic template, making it hard for people to remember who you are at a glance. The problem is often not the design level, but rather, the design isn't truly speaking the brand's language. Below, I won't discuss style trends or design techniques, but rather, I'll explain this from the perspective of how brand tone is perceived in a store. First, the conclusion. Brand tone isn't faked, but rather repeatedly felt. This is the premise for understanding everything. Many people mistakenly believe changing the color scheme, changing the font, using a more sophisticated style is what it means to have brand tone. But the truth is, brand tone isn't a single design element, but rather a stable feeling formed by the user throughout the browsing process. Brand tone isn't about seeing it once, but about feeling consistent on every page. Second, brand tone is first and foremost reflected in, do you resemble yourself? This is the most easily overlooked, yet most fundamental point. If your store has one style for the homepage, another for the product details page, and yet another for promotional pages, users will instinctively wonder, what kind of brand is this? Once this question arises, the brand tone has already been weakened. The first prerequisite for brand tone is consistency. It's not about chasing trends, but about consistently and stably resembling the same person. Third, brand tone isn't made for competitors to see, but made for the feelings of the target users. Many store designs fail not because of poor design, but because the wrong tone was chosen for the wrong audience. For example, targeting rational users, yet designed to be emotional. Targeting high-spending users, yet too bustling. Targeting young users, yet overly restrained. The pages look okay, but they don't match the psychological state of the target users. The real question a brand's tone should answer isn't, what kind of brand do I look like? But rather, what feeling do I evoke in my target users? EV. The most important carrier of brand tone is actually rhythm. This is a point many people don't consider. Tone is not only reflected in colors, fonts, and images, but also in, is the page rushed? Is all the information thrown at you at once? Are users constantly interrupted? For example, high-end tone, slow, restrained pace, professional tone, clear sequence, thorough explanation, youthful tone, light and airy pace. If the rhythm is wrong, the tone will definitely go astray. V. Copywriting. Tone. More influencing brand image than you think. Many people only care about visuals, but neglect copywriting. However, in reality, a large part of a user's perception of a brand's image comes from how you speak. If your copywriting is sometimes very serious, sometimes very promotional, sometimes very emotional, then the user's judgment of you will become inconsistent. And stability is one of the core elements of brand image. Brand image is cultivated through long-term language style. 6. Brand image isn't about saying everything clearly, but about knowing what to say and what not to say. This is the dividing line between a brand and an ordinary sales page. Ordinary sales pages often say everything they can, afraid the user won't know, while brand pages with image quality are better at selective expression using white space and restraint, not because they lack content, but because they understand. Some information doesn't need to be said at this moment. This keeping some things to oneself is itself a brand ethos. 7. Why does frequent renovation fail to establish a brand identity? Because brand identity requires repetition. Users' perception of you is gradually formed through repeated exposure. If you constantly overturn style, structure, expression, The user's experience will be repeatedly interrupted. Brand identity is not a one-time design outcome, but a result of long-term training. Fate, a very practical self-assessment question about brand identity. You can ask yourself this question: if users don't remember my name, but remember a feeling, what would that feeling be? If you find it difficult to answer, it means the renovation hasn't yet formed a clear brand identity. A very practical piece of advice for sellers: don't rush to build a brand identity. A more reliable approach is, first, clearly define the feeling you want to convey to users. Then, ensure all pages speak around this feeling. Finally, maintain this consistently and avoid frequent revisions. Brand identity is not designed, but cultivated through long-term commitment. In short, store design reflects brand identity, not through a single sophisticated design, but through consistent, long-term aesthetic management. When your pages achieve unified style, consistent rhythm, stable language, and a consistent overall feel, the brand identity has often already been subtly established in the user's mind.